We spoke to him about the Brexit a little while ago, and now he is back from Britain. Ray Hurd, the man who has traveled the world, worked all over the world, and has some close connections to key people in British political life, has just spent a couple of weeks over in London, joins me now with his take on what it's like after the vote that shook the EU. Ray, is Britain falling apart? Are people living in the streets? Is the economy collapsing?
No, the fear was overrated, but I was there, Brian, and every day there was another shock. First was the vote, which Cameron didn't expect. He should never have held that referendum. That was dumb of him. Chrétien could have warned him about having a referendum without clear terms. Secondly, Boris Johnson, the successor, now that they voted to leave, who's appointed Foreign Secretary today, a key guy, he was pushed down, but he's come back today.
Well,
then someone, every day there was another shock.
Let me ask you about Boris Johnson, though. Hold on, Ray, hold on. I need to ask you about Boris Johnson, because when I first heard about it, I thought that he had decided that he was, I've decided I don't want to do it. And then his friend, Michael Gove, got up and said, well, I'll run then.
Yes.
But that's not what happened, is it? Gove stabbed him in the back.
Stabbed him in the back, kind of like Julius Caesar being assassinated. But don't underrate Boris Johnson, and he'll be important to Canada. Conrad Black knows him, and Conrad Black was his boss on the Daily Telegraph, where he made his name as a journalist. Boris Johnson, in a way, is the civilized Donald Trump. He speaks for the people. He has a popular touch. He's very popular, and he was the leader of the Leave campaign, which won the referendum. So May, who was lukewarm on leaving, she was the deputy to David Cameron. She wasn't an ardent Leave Europe protagonist, but she's brought him in. He'll be a key person. If I were advising Justin Trudeau, apart from having to wear a straitjacket, I guess it's fair to say that I would advise him to call, obviously, Theresa May the winner, but Boris Johnson, the Foreign Secretary, he's crucial. In a weird way, you can compare him with Winston Churchill when he was in the wilderness before he became Prime Minister, and Donald Trump in a vague way. So these are exciting times. I don't think it's that bad for the United Kingdom. I think, as I said to you earlier, Brian, there's a proposed Canada-UK free trade deal. If Britain had stayed in the European Union, the unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, who are the big problem here, might have made it difficult. I think Canada has a better chance of negotiating a free trade deal with the United Kingdom, which is a huge market. They talk the same language.
Fifth largest economy.
Yeah.
It's the fifth largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
We want to be in that market. They don't go to the back of the line, as Barack Obama said. That's ridiculous. But Daniel Hannan, who's a Conservative member of the European Parliament for Southeast England, he was telling me that he thinks if Canada wants a free trade deal with Britain, we can likely get one and get it approved before the one we've already negotiated with the European Union gets approved, because that deal is running into problems. The Germans are complaining about this. The Austrians have problems with that. The Romanians and Bulgarians say we've got to lift visas. There are a lot of roadblocks being put up by different European nations to this deal now.
I agree totally with him. But let me get back to one important point. Theresa May, her views on immigration have not been reported except by the London Daily Telegraph. And I'd like to read you something, Brian. May is very concerned about unlimited immigration to the United Kingdom, as is Donald Trump. Now, here's what she said. She said, and this was to a conservative conference in October. I want to quote it. Immigrants are stealing our jobs, making you, the British people, poorer, and ruining your country. Never mind the facts, just feel angry at foreigners and make me, Theresa May, conservative leader. That's what's happened. She will take a hard line because although the mainstream left-wing British media didn't report it, the real reason the vote was to get out of Europe was immigration to Britain. It is taking jobs away. It's a cultural problem. And do you know what happened in Germany today?
What?
In Germany today, school teachers boycotted a graduation ceremony because a Muslim student who was going to graduate refused to shake hands with a female German teacher. So the German teachers are sort of on a strike now because the cultural differences, especially of Muslims, but not only, are so great. The British people feel afraid and threatened by unlimited immigration, which is possible under the European Union.
So I don't think that people in this country realize the numbers. I don't think they realize the extent to which immigration takes place within the EU. And then as soon as someone sets foot on European soil, they can move anywhere in the EU. This is why there's such angst. And I think we're insulated from that, Ray. And so we don't understand the anxiety.
Yes, and the same, there's more of the feeling in France and the Netherlands, and also parts of Germany, there's more of the feeling against Europe than there was in the United Kingdom. So I predicted when I saw the results of the vote, which was to leave, that there may be referendums in France, the Netherlands, even Germany, if the leaders are dumb enough, as was the late David Cameron, because he's toast now, to have a referendum. So the European Union is in shambles. The United Kingdom is the disunited kingdom today. But I think under May, and especially Boris Johnson, there's a very good chance of the British people uniting for a common purpose, and that is once again to have a stronger Britain. And I also think, Brian, and I think Conrad Black, he and I disagree on a lot of things, but I think that he would agree that a union of English-speaking democracies would be the greatest thing for world peace, because that would be the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and maybe even what's going to be the biggest country in the world, if it isn't now, and is a democracy, India. So don't underrate the importance of English-speaking democracies in charting the future, and the future that we see as Westerners with some sense of civilization is a democratic and free society that transcends borders. That's what the Commonwealth was supposed to be about, but unfortunately it isn't.
Well, I think the Commonwealth was derailed because of the EU and what went on that led up to that. It's an interesting point you raise about what has been called the Anglosphere in the past. Yeah. I just don't see it happening under our current Prime Minister, who seems to want to pull us away from that, wants to make us more continental-like.
Yes, but he and Stéphane Dion, I mean, I always go on about Stéphane Dion. Dismal Stéphane Dion, who didn't want to take a stand on genocide and terrorism until the United Nations did. If Justin is to survive, and Dion, by the way, is in favor of selling arms to the Saudi Arabian butchers who kill people, including gays and lesbians, I think that if Justin wants to survive, he has to get rid of Stéphane Dion, and I think he would have no role in negotiating any sort of deal with Britain or other English-speaking democracies. We need a new foreign minister. I don't think Justin's ready to do that. But survival is the instinct of every prime minister. So in the end, you'll have to get Dion to walk the plank, because what's happened in Europe makes the world more uncertain, more precarious, and we need smart leaders. The Brits, a few hours ago, Brian, got a very smart one in Boris Johnson.
All right. Ray, great talking as always. Thanks for the insight, and good to have you back on Canadian soil.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.